You're finally starting to let your guard down, and then he pulls away. He texts all night, makes plans, says sweet things, and then disappears. You're stuck in a loop. And no matter what you say or don't say, he keeps showing up just enough to confuse you, but not enough to claim you. This speech will give you a step-by-step strategy to stop chasing mixed signals and take back your power without playing games. Stop interpreting, start observing. When someone is hot and cold, we get caught in analysis. Did I say something wrong? Is he just scared? Should I wait it out? But every moment you spend decoding his behavior is a moment you're not listening to what he's showing you. Real power begins when you stop translating his inconsistency and start trusting it. A man who wants something real doesn't send mixed signals. He sends a message through consistency. You notice his warmth, the way he lights up when he talks to you, the intensity in his eyes. It feels real, but then he pulls away. A delay in texting, a vague excuse, and suddenly you're spinning, asking yourself 1,000 questions. Did I do something wrong? Did I come on too strong? Your mind doesn't rest, it races, and in that moment, his silence becomes your obsession. We've been taught that love requires effort, but no one tells us that the wrong kind of effort becomes self-abandonment. When someone gives you mixed signals, the natural instinct is to work harder to interpret their actions. But what if the key isn't found in decoding him, but in observing what's already in front of you? What if the silence means exactly what it feels like? The truth is, the more time you spend analyzing his inconsistency, the less time you spend witnessing your own truth. You lose sight of how much you're tolerating. You lose track of the calm you once had. He says he's busy but doesn't follow up. He says he likes you but avoids anything real. And still, you search for signs of reassurance when all the evidence is already pointing to confusion. We want to believe the hot moments mean something, that the cold ones are just temporary. But inconsistency is a language. It's the behavior of someone who is unsure, unavailable, or unwilling. And if you keep translating it into hope, you'll keep betraying your own clarity. Power begins the moment you stop chasing why and start asking, is this enough? So instead of interpreting, observe. Watch what he does when you stop reaching. Watch how little or how much effort he makes when you're no longer filling the silence. That's where your answer lives. Not in the excuses, not in the stories, but in the pattern. His inconsistency is not your cue to try harder. It's your invitation to listen harder to yourself. Mirror, don't chase. When he pulls back, don't chase him. Don't fill the silence. Don't fix the gap. Instead, mirror his distance with calm detachment, not out of punishment, but out of self-respect. The moment you start chasing reassurance is the moment you hand him the emotional upper hand. Let him feel the space. Let him notice your absence. Your energy is not his to play ping pong with. It's sacred. Protect it. When he pulls away, everything inside you wants to reach out, to close the gap, to fix what suddenly feels broken. You think, maybe if I text him first, maybe if I remind him how good we were. But in doing that, you place the responsibility of the connection entirely on yourself. You become the glue while he gets to stay emotionally lazy. And that's not love. That's survival mode. We chase because silence feels like rejection. But what if silence was simply data? What if instead of chasing, you mirrored? When he backs off, you calmly hold your space. When he stops putting in effort, you stop carrying the weight. This isn't about playing games, it's about refusing to overextend yourself for someone who's only showing up halfway. When you mirror his behavior, you're not being cold, you're being conscious, you're giving him a chance to show you who he is without your effort, masking his absence. When you stop chasing, you create a gap, and in that space, something powerful happens. He either steps up or his inconsistency becomes undeniable. Either way, you get truth, and truth is the foundation of power. You might fear that if you don't pursue him, he'll disappear completely. But here's the truth. If silence ends the connection, it was never real in the first place. A man who values you won't risk losing you to ego or convenience. He'll pursue you with clarity. He won't make you guess. And if he doesn't, that's not your failure. That's your freedom. Your value isn't in how quickly you respond, how often you reach out, or how hard you fight to keep his attention. Your value is in your ability to remain rooted in your self-worth even when he creates distance. So when he goes cold, don't turn up the heat, turn inward. Mirror with grace, let your calm be louder than your fear. That's how a high-value woman moves with dignity, not desperation. Make the implicit explicit. At some point, you have to stop reacting and start responding. That means calling it out with grace and strength, not accusing, not pleading, just clarity. Say something like, hey, I've noticed a pattern when things start to build, you pull away. That kind of inconsistency doesn't work for me, and I'm looking for something more grounded. When you name it, you shift from confused to clear, from reactive to rooted. There comes a point where silence isn't strength, it's avoidance. When you've watched the same pattern repeat, he shows interest, pulls back, returns just enough to keep you close. It's easy to think saying nothing protects your dignity, but avoidance won't give you peace, and it certainly won't give you clarity. If he keeps you in emotional limbo, you owe it to yourself to name it. Clarity doesn't have to be confrontational. You don't need to accuse, attack, or demand. You just need to reflect the truth back to him with calm, grounded confidence. Something like, I've noticed that things seem to cool off every time we get closer. That inconsistency doesn't feel good to me, and I'm not interested in something that goes nowhere. Say it without fear. Say it for you. The moment you name the pattern, you step out of confusion and into power. You're no longer reacting to his moods, you're responding to his behavior. You're showing him that your boundaries aren't silent, they're spoken and they're firm. When you voice what you've observed, you break the cycle of mixed signals by shining a light on the truth he's trying to keep in the shadows. Sometimes we stay quiet because we don't want to scare him off. But the right person won't run from emotional maturity, they'll respect it. And the wrong one, he was going to disappear anyway. If your honesty makes him uncomfortable, that's not a sign to shrink. It's a sign to stand taller. Because the more clearly you speak your truth, the faster you filter out the ones who can't handle it. By making the implicit explicit, you send a message, I see what's happening, I'm not afraid to name it, and I won't stick around for anything less than alignment. That message isn't just for him, it's for you. It's a declaration of your worth. Because clarity isn't something you wait for, it's something you give yourself. Remove your application for proving worth. Hot and cold men often make you feel like you're auditioning, like you need to prove you're worth staying for. But that's a trap. The more you try to convince him, the more power you lose. Instead, remove yourself from the equation. Let him see that you're the one evaluating him. A queen doesn't beg for attention. She observes who's ready to rise to her level and who isn't. You keep wondering if you're enough, if maybe he's pulling away because you said too much, cared too deeply, wanted too soon. So you start adjusting, you soften your needs, shrink your voice, and try to become more easygoing, all to fit into the version you think he'll stay for. But the harder you work to prove your worth to him, the faster you lose it with yourself. Being with someone inconsistent puts you into emotional audition mode. Every text you send feels like a test. Every silence from him feels like a judgment. You start tying your value to how responsive or affectionate he is. But that's not connection, that's a performance. And a relationship built on you proving yourself will never be one where you feel secure. You don't have to convince the right man to stay. You don't have to show him why you're good enough for love. If he can't already see your value in how you love, listen, care, and communicate, he's not the one. The longer you chase approval from someone who isn't offering emotional consistency, the longer you delay the peace that comes from knowing your worth is non-negotiable. Instead of asking, how do I keep him? Start asking, do I even want someone who makes me feel unsure? What if you stopped applying for love and started interviewing for it? What if he had to prove he could match your energy, not the other way around? When you shift from performer to observer, the whole dynamic changes, and so does your power. Your presence is a privilege, not a pitch. Your love is a gift, not a reward for patience. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth is the moment you start attracting people who already see it. So withdraw your application. Let him sit with the absence of your effort. If he truly values you, he'll rise. And if he doesn't, you just made space for someone who will. Exit with grace, not drama. If his behavior doesn't shift, don't cling. Don't stay for potential. Leave quietly but powerfully. Let your silence be louder than any speech. Walking away from hot and cold energy is not a loss. It's a return to alignment. When you leave what confuses you, you make space for what chooses you. Here comes a point when you've said what needed to be said, you've mirrored his energy, you've voiced your boundaries, and still nothing changes. That's when your power lies in your exit, not in another conversation, not in one last text. Because if someone keeps showing you that they can't meet you, staying becomes a form of self-abandonment. Leaving then isn't rejection, it's alignment. The hardest part isn't walking away, it's walking away quietly. We often crave a dramatic exit, a moment where we make him see what he's losing. But true power doesn't need to perform, it doesn't need to prove a point, it simply removes itself. When you exit without bitterness, without begging, without trying to make him feel guilty, you reclaim something deeper, your peace. Let your silence speak volumes. When you walk away with grace, it creates a vacuum he can't ignore. Not because you're manipulating him, but because your absence finally reflects the weight of your presence. And that's a truth no amount of hot and cold behavior can cover up. When he realizes you no longer need closure from him, he may chase. But by then, you'll no longer be waiting. Grace means no angry texts, no last jabs, no dramatics. It means choosing peace over chaos, self-respect over attention, growth over emotional crumbs. Let him wonder why you stopped fighting. Let him sit in the space where your energy used to be. Because if your calm exit doesn't wake him up, nothing ever will, and you've just freed yourself from a cycle that was never going anywhere. Leaving doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you finally cared about yourself more. It means you got tired of trying to convince someone to see you, hear you, or choose you consistently, and now you choose you. With your head high, with your heart intact, with your energy preserved for someone who values it from the start, not only after it's gone. Mixed signals are not an invitation to try harder. They are a warning to step back. Real love doesn't make you question your worth, it reinforces it. So if he's hot and cold, be the woman who stays warm with herself. The woman who doesn't chase answers but becomes them. The woman who doesn't beg for clarity but embodies it, because that's what true power looks like. And it